Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
New year, new news. Welcome to our weekly look at the biggest stories of the past 7 days in Las Vegas with the best journalists and thinkers in town. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by my co-host Sarah Lohman and Nevada current deputy editor April Corbin-Gurnis, and we'll be discussing the list of local companies whose employees still qualify for Medicaid, the devastating fires of neighboring California and how it impacts Las Vegas, and saying farewell to a beloved, decades-old amusement ride. It's Friday, January 10th. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Sarah and April, welcome to the Friday News Roundup on CityCast Las Vegas.
Yay.
Hi, David. Am I the thinker and April's the journalist?
You're both alternately thinkers and journalists because you do it all. And also, I want to give a big welcome to all the new listeners to CityCast Las Vegas. We do a lot of interesting stuff here, and we hope that you're along for the ride with us. And on Fridays, we'd like to start with something we call the hot headline from the news.
Hot headline.
Yes, of course.
Was that at the wrong spot now?
No, you did it fine. It doesn't matter where it comes as long as it comes from Sarah Lohman. So this is where we pull something that's big in the news, but we're not going to talk about it for too long, just kind of mention it. And this week we're mentioning us here at CityCast Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's a big week.
Yeah, in collaboration with Daniel Rothberg, the great environmental reporter, and ProPublica, we released a little story called Elon Musk's Boring Company is Tunneling Beneath Las Vegas with Little Oversight. And it made a nice big splash.
Yeah, it did.
It got rebroadcast in a lot of places. Even Drudge put it out. Gosh, Drudge. I didn't even know he was still going.
And we did a podcast episode about it, so check that out this week. And you can read the story in ProPublica, too. It's well worth it.
Yeah, and it's not terribly long, but it's packed with information.
Packed.
April, Sarah, what were the biggest takeaways from that story for you?
Elon Musk must be stopped.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I guess I already knew that.
How about you, Sarah?
I like April's take on a T-shirt. But yeah, well, I mean, two things, David. I know that you put in a huge amount of work into this. You were going through piles of reports. You were that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Charlie Day meme. You know the one I'm talking about with the strings.
Oh, yeah, I had the string.
You know, my whole takeaway from this whole project has been that Musk and many other billionaire CEOs have continued to push for deregulation. Mm-hmm. And I worry that it is going to take a massive tragedy, maybe even here in Vegas, to put a stop to this. And it's put me in mind as a historian of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
It happened in 1911. 146 people died, mostly teenage women. And that was really the start of regulation in America in the wake of this unfathomable tragedy. And I would love it if we didn't have to do that again to see how important regulation is in this country.
Yeah, for sure. Not to suggest that there's going to be a great big tragedy down there, but
there might
we
be.
Just, don't know what's lying underground. And I think, what's really been interesting to me, and I want to encourage anyone who's read the story or listened to the podcast to kind of give us a note. I've been getting really interesting texts and emails from people in the community, some in positions of authority who are like, hey, if you thought that was bad, you should look at this aspect or whatever. It's all intrigue at this point. But, it's worth following up. And if it's not us, it should be other local journalists who are really kind of scrutinizing what is happening there because, in this day and age, there's a lot of really important things to consider. And if they're not considered, we always have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
That's funny, David. You sent me a text that said, looking forward to having this in the rear view.
Yeah.
But it looks like
It's
you're
not
getting
going away. No.
staged for part two, David. Welcome to the world of journalism.
I mean, if half the texts that I've been getting from people who've read the story are worth following up on, I might be busy for a little bit.
Well, good thing you didn't take down your Charlie Day.
The board, right?
Yeah, your Charlie Day string board.
Yeah, there's some coffee stains on it, but we can move forward. And speaking about moving forward, let's get to the topics of this week. First one up is the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services just came out with their annual list of companies who have the most employees receiving Medicaid and qualifying for Medicaid. April, you did some reporting on this in the Nevada Current. What were your findings?
Yeah, so probably shocking nobody, but still noteworthy and important about is Amazon took the top spot for this year's report in 2025.
Effing believable, April. Truly, I
well,
know
this is America, I mean, anyway, so Amazon was at the top of the list, and they have the big warehouses down here in southern Nevada.
Yes, and they have some in Reno also. So Amazon has been the top employer of Medicaid recipients in Nevada since 2020 when it overtook Walmart. Sure. Walmart is still number 2. Clark County School District is number 3. Oh. The rest of the list is like Wynn, the state of Nevada, a call center, Sitel, Smith's, Bowtie Hospitality, which runs the Fontainebleau. This is their first year of eligibility on the list, and they made it right up on the top. Universal Protection Services, which is a security company, and ARIA.
MGM is sometimes on that list. How did they fare this year, April?
Number 17.
Okay. All right.
Not great.
So back to Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So nearly 9,000 full-time employees of Amazon were on Medicaid last year, as were about 9,100 dependents of those employees.
It's ridiculous.
And so and also included in the report is that the cost of covering just the Amazon employees and their dependents last year was $51 million, and $11 million of which was covered by the state of Nevada. The rest is covered by the federal government.
Right. Now, April, you wrote that Southern Nevada is overrepresented on this list. Why do you think that is? Is there something special or especially bad down here in the South?
I think if you just look at the top 10 list, you can sort of see Southern Nevada has made a greater push for these sort of warehouses and distribution centers like Amazon. Clark County School District's obviously number 3 on the list, and it's just one of the largest employers in the state. So it's massive. And I think it is just reflective of our kind of hospitality economy and the types of jobs we create. I don't think it surprises anybody that we're a little bit overrepresented on the list. But I think you just look around Nevada and the type of jobs that are here, especially with this reliance on gig economies and people moving around a lot in terms of jobs. I think it makes sense that we're overrepresented.
You know what shocked a lot of people was seeing Clark County School District on that list. So I reached out to a friend of mine who works for the district, and I'm like, who are these individuals? They're not the teachers for sure. And the response was that Clark County School District has so many aides, like a single aide who will help a student through the day or whatever who has disabilities, and other sort of teacher aides are probably the bulk of that. Yes. And that we focus so much on the teachers at getting that good contract and having, the appropriate living wage. We're not talking as much about the support staff and the teachers' aides and people like that. Sarah, should we be shaming these companies, or is there something more? Well, okay. I mean, I had a second part of that question, and I caught by your tone, Sarah, from when that list came out and your facial contortions.
It's shameful. Shame on them.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if there is something more systemic to rally against where we, can direct those energies.
Sure. I mean, first of all, yes, we should be shaming these companies because I actually think that shame is a really effective way to change policy, right? Some people, we're going to get some emails that's cancel culture. You know what? Cancel culture actually works. It's a really important societal measure to check behavior that is not societally predictable. Listen, in this country, if you are working 40 hours a week, you should have enough money to afford housing, to afford food, to afford utilities, and to afford health care. And shame on all these companies, especially Amazon, for employing people full-time without giving them health care, and shame on our state and federal government for allowing companies to employ someone full-time without giving them health care. That is shameful. How do you expect to get the most out of your employees if you don't take care of them? So, yes, I do think that we should be legally requiring by state and federal law employers, at least those who employ people 40 hours a week, to provide health care. But more importantly, let's have the Medicaid for all discussion. We are the only developed, quote unquote, country that doesn't have health care access for everybody. It costs us way more money to not insure people, and it just lines the pockets of a few, which is a big problem in this country. But as I've mentioned several times on this podcast, hopefully the state of Nevada is going to have public option, which is another word for Medicaid for all, healthcare in 2026. I truly hope that happens because clearly this study shows that we need it.
Well, I don't know the ins and outs, April, of the qualifications for Medicaid, but I do know that a lot of people want there to be free health care in this country. And it does seem like Medicaid is as close as we get for people who are financially struggling. So what's wrong with companies, let's say, partnering, if we could use that word, with the government on this one? You know, people get covered one way or another, right?
I mean, that's certainly Elon Musk-y type of way to look at the situation as a partnership.
Well, I'm a new convert, so yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
You know, I mean, the broader issue is that maybe healthcare shouldn't be tied to an employer, full stop. I think that's the response that a lot of people would get at.
Keeps a lot of people tied into what might be a bad role for them or a bad job, right? They're afraid of the healthcare loss.
And also, particularly the reality of this is that, you know, large employers, which is what this report covers, it's over 50 employees, they're required to offer health insurance, but a lot of employees don't take it because it's still too expensive. They're sort of out-of-pocket expenses. Their deductibles and their premiums and stuff are too expensive.
And they don't want that deduction from their paychecks.
Exactly. They don't want that because they need that. And Medicaid is, you know, there is some eligibility flexibility in terms of things, but largely it's based off of income, right? Which is why we look at that. And I think the list highlights this idea that these employers are not paying their employees enough. And if you don't make enough, you're going to qualify for Medicaid, and also you're probably going to be hesitant to even go to the doctor because going to the doctor is expensive. And so I think it highlights that. But as to your question about partnering with the government, it just seems like there's a better way. and yeah, I mean, that's a policy discussion that lawmakers certainly need to have. And information like this is what's helpful.
April, that's a really good point in that it's often offered through employers, but employees don't take it. Of course, why shouldn't it be free as just a free benefit if you're already working that job rather than a deduction? And of course, if you are taking care of your routine maintenance, your annual physicals, if you don't do those things, you end up sicker in the long term, dying earlier, and costing the federal government more money in emergency room visits. So it makes economic sense for people to feel financially comfortable to be able to go to the doctor whenever they want to.
And we have, it's worth noting, given Amazon money to open new businesses, new facilities in Nevada. And so I think there's also a question of whether or not the state should be prioritizing tax incentives and abatements for companies like Amazon, who are eventually just going to come and then have their employees on Medicaid.
Well, now let's turn to another topic. And this is one that always impacts us here in Las Vegas, both emotionally and in a very concrete way. The big fires in Southern California, mostly in LA, but other spots too. Sarah, how is that going as of the taping here in the AM hours of Thursday?
Yeah, this is a story that is being actively updated. I've actually already updated it twice this morning, so I'm sure that by the time this airs, things are going to change. So we did get a taste of the same crazy winds earlier this week, right? But it impacted us far less than in LA, where the Santa Ana winds have fueled at least 5 massive fires. What makes this unusual, these are happening in the LA metropolitan area. There are many smaller fires as well, and in total, it's covering about 45 square miles. This is absolutely unprecedented. I know it really hurts because I know that a lot of us here in Las Vegas are connected to LA in many ways. This is even directly impacting members of our team this week as well. And of course, we heard too, there was a call for help. So Nevada is sending fire battalions to help Southern California. There are 25 team members from Clark County who are heading out that direction.
Yeah, Sarah, and I want to hit on the Vegas angle. I did read that for now, it looks like the smoke, which we often get here in the valley, might be headed towards the Pacific Ocean. So at least we potentially have that break.
Yeah, the winds are blowing south, and we are slightly north of LA. So we're not going to be getting, unless the winds dramatically change, which if they did, that would also help to stem the situation.
Yeah.
We're not going to get the smoke in the valley.
Well, Las Vegas and Southern California, as I mentioned, will forever be connected on so many different levels, even though we are obviously hundreds of miles of geographic distance apart. What do y'all think are the immediate impacts of this fire on our city, April?
I mean, there's enough travel from Californians to Las Vegas spending their money that we may feel an economic impact in terms of people spending less and because they have to rebuild their lives in their homes and they don't feel like partying in Vegas.
Long term.
So we may see that, immediate economic impact in terms of people coming in.
Coming in or not coming in? I think
or not
there's
coming
kind
in,
of
sorry,
like
yeah.
both, right?
Yeah, actually.
Coming in now, but not coming long term.
I think that the tourists for fun are not coming in, but maybe the refugees, if you will, people whose houses are in the zone where they're not even allowed to live might be thinking Vegas would be a good option.
Yeah, and that we may see that longer term in terms of, after any sort of huge catastrophe like this, there are going to be people who decide that they can't rebuild or they don't want to, or it might not be feasible because they're not going to be able to get home insurance on their house for whatever reason. So we may see sort of people move here, which certainly would impact that.
Oh, that's interesting. Like the normal impetus to send those Californians to Las Vegas, which is already pretty solid, might be juiced up a little bit. You think that might happen, Sarah? That people will finally say, this is the last straw, I'm going to Vegas?
Yeah, we don't really struggle with wildfires here. We're at a higher altitude. So even though we've been getting hot in the summer, like here in Joshua Tree, it kind of looks like we're not going to be impacted by climate change in the same way that a lot of California is. And we've already seen this trend too. But I think at the moment our minds are all sort of on the immediate. I know that we're all, reaching out to friends and family, making sure people are okay and housed and helping with that housing very actively behind the scenes here at CityCast. I have noticed, using Facebook and Instagram, the amount of resources that are very quickly being spread around in terms of housing, in terms of food pickups, in terms of housing that allows pets. And, social media is so effective at getting that information out there, and I see it and I can spread it.
But I also saw the famous Hollywood sign on flames, and it turned out to be a fake.
Fake.
Yeah. So, you got to take it all in. All this reminds me of something that might be very counterintuitive to people who look at Las Vegas as a very sinful, selfish place. And that is in my, lifelong residency here, realizing that Las Vegas does snap into action when others are in need. 1 October was the best example. We had lines around the corner for people giving blood. This is built into our DNA. And we're already seeing Vegas folks offering up their homes to basically these climate refugees. And I think that people don't realize that this real city around Strip City has a big, big open heart. And so, to all those people who are impacted, who are looking at us for a little empathy, it's going to be looking right back at you. So I hate to say our thoughts and prayers and money and homes and, fire brigades, whatever it takes, we're there for you, I'm sure. Okay, let's go into the next topic then. This is one I'm going to tell you a little bit about because it's almost personal to me. 40 years plus ago, 1982, a new weird amusement ride showed up on the scene, and it was called ominously Fly Away. And it was right in my backyard. It was literally a 2-minute walk from our apartments where we lived near the Strip. And I was always scared shitless of this thing. It was essentially a jet engine faced upside down with a grate on it, and you'd wear this kind of parachute outfit, and you would fly in the air. They had these great commercials. I think on 2 occasions as a wee lad, I went over there, did all the things I had to do to sign up, and then chickened out because it just, the one
You've
day.
You've never done it?
I never did it. I've been in the facility. My little sister did it, but I couldn't I couldn't bring myself to do it.
This is the skydiving thing, right?
Yeah. So now it's called Vegas Indoor Skydiving. It's been operating there for 42 years. They did not give a reason why it is closing down, but the Clark County Building Department confirmed to the Las Vegas Review-Journal that it was the longest running attraction of its sort. It actually started a trend of these kind of things going around.
Closing?
What's that? It's closing.
When is it closing?
Yeah, it's officially closing forever on January 25th. So people still have a couple of weeks.
You have to go.
Are we going? This is my birthday
you
weekend.
You have to go, David.
Oh, my God. Maybe?
I'm texting you. Yes, David.
Oh, I'm still afraid. The little kid in me is still afraid. I will tell you this.
You have to do it.
It is 100% emblematic of Vegas entertainment because it is a way to have dangerous fun in a safe and controlled space.
We're going. Do you want to come, April?
If April goes, I'll go. But
I'll
if she's
go.
chickening... Oh, my
I'll
God. No,
go
April,
for
I was
David.
counting on you here.
No,
We're going.
Let's go.
I'm free all weekend. I'm gonna start a group text.
All right. Okay. Let me shift the gear on that. Let's put that in our back pocket for a second. What are the quintessential Vegas places to have safe danger now that Flyaway, aka Vegas Indoor Skydiving, is closing down?
Circus, or is that just danger?
Is that danger? Oh man.
I know. Circus is always the butt of our jokes. Okay, maybe in all honesty, maybe like Battlefield Las Vegas. I've never been myself, but when I do have a free $5,000, I would go drive a tank over a car.
Wait, that's
what they do there. That's over like off
That's
of
one of the things.
Sammy
you can also
Davis
just like
Drive?
You can shoot guns and stuff like that, but that's the high price tag item is you can drive an actual tank over an actual car for $5,000.
That does sound like safe danger.
That does sound like safe danger.
I'll start a GoFundMe.
Or dangerous fun. April?
I will say the obvious one that's like a classic though. I mean, like the Stratosphere still offers that. And I know that some of the stuff that's on the top of the Stratosphere, the like roller coaster, I don't think is that exciting. But the Big Shot, the one that matters or whatever, is still
I don't think
a
I
thrill.
could do that.
I love it. I think it's a it's
also in my backyard. Also
in your backyard, yeah.
We are so used to the screams of the people because the way it travels, it just literally hits us if we're hanging out in our backyard with our pup or whatever. We'll just hear a cacophony of people screaming from the top of the Stratosphere.
Wait, is the Big Shot the bungee jump?
No, it's the one that just shoots you up and then brings you down.
Oh, yes. But there's also the bungee jump one on the Strat too.
You know, I don't even know what's still up and not on the Stratosphere. I know there's enough stuff up there to keep the scream steady, but I think that the rides have come and gone over the years.
Yeah. But the Big Shot's still there, and that one's the one I think that's good. And then also I want to give a shout out to our climbing community in particular, because we have Red Rock in our backyard. And if you're looking for dangerous, safe fun, there are so many amazing guides and like professionals who know how to take people who would like to try rock climbing out to places that are, I mean, obviously there's always some danger in rock climbing. I know I'll get emails about that, but
you know. God, or it started at a gym. That's horrifying.
There's a gym. Yeah, we have
a great one in Henderson that's like the tracks are laid by the pros. It's very intimidating.
They're everywhere.
That one's closing. But
well, I'm glad, April, that you brought up one that wasn't on the Strip, because I think Strip City definitely promotes itself as a place of dangerous fun, whether it's, hey, let's risk the kids' college fund. That's dangerous fun.
There is that exotic race car driving thing over at the Speedway.
Oh,
if you want to drive really fast, which would be good to do there and not on Blue Diamond, okay?
Or the Strip.
Let's
be real about that. Yeah. F1, we're looking at you.
Yeah.
Well, all great examples of safe danger for our community. If people have more, we always like to hear it, and maybe it'll inspire an episode. Well, Sarah and April, thanks so much for this Friday News Roundup. New year, new us.
Yeah, thanks, David.
It's always a blast. Yeah.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our producers this week were Sonia Cho Swanson, Layla Mohammed, Myron Kaplan, and Selena Say Reynolds. Our newsletter editor is Rob Kalcherese, and our hosts are Sarah Lohman and me, David Figler. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, and All the Kimonos. We record this show on the traditional homeland of the Nuwuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? You could rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky.
one more time. Here we go. I caught the David bug. It's okay. I don't know what's up this morning. I've been up for hours.
Very contagious.
I had a coffee. Can you tell?